My name is Doug Smode. I'm a body modification apprentice and body suspension practitioner for permafrost suspensions. When I was a kid, I was always fascinated by tribal aspects of ritual and modification, stretching ears, the lip discs, the stretching of the necks, tribal scarification for entering ceremonies through manhood, stuff like that. My uncle used to have a massive collection of National Geographic in his garage, and as a kid I would just sit in there for hours and read them. So I guess that's where it originally stemmed from. After moving away from the small towns, I started to look for suspension practitioners because I knew it was practiced as a modern day ritual. And even with that, looking for people who were into heavy body modifications, branching off from the research I had done when I was younger. So I always knew it was a very interesting part of my life, and I was always trying to test my body, so it was pretty much the next logical step for me was to find the people who did this. Close to 30? That's a nice round number. The horns in my forehead and some of the other implants throughout my body are what's called subdermal implants. That's where the implant actually completely rests under the skin between certain layers of tissue. There's a pocket created after the procedure is done, and it just sits inside of there. The metal horns that I don't have tops on right now on the tops of my head are what's called a transdermal implant. They are implanted under the skin, but there is a tunnel releasing the top of the anchor so that accessories can be put on it. Those are kind of like your surface anchors or surface bars, just on a much larger scale. They have to be surgically implanted and being put under the skin rather than installed from the exterior into it. The solar branding on my face is probably only about 2 months old, if that, maybe even a few weeks shy of that. I got it done by a friend of mine when we were down in the States at a suspension convention. He's a professional brander, and he does everything, the solar branding with globes. My mom, she loves what I do. She's very, very encouraging me, and she's always pushed me to do what I've wanted to do. She took me for my first piercings. Always encouraged things even if they weren't really, she wasn't really comfortable with them, right? There's been a lot of procedures where I'm like, Mom, I'm about to do this, and she's like, oh no, please don't. And then afterwards she's like, oh, it really suits you, but no more. And it kind of just like pushed that threshold, but I wouldn't be anywhere as far into my career and who I am as a person without her. Hands down, she has pushed me the hardest throughout my entire life and has supported everything that I've wanted to do, even if she didn't like it. Don't really know. I get a lot of funny looks. Some of my friends enjoy walking 3 steps behind me so that they get to catch all the funny looks. Honestly, I don't even notice it. I do get asked questions, and I answer them as well as I can. I tend to not answer questions if I'm approached abruptly or if people are ignorant about things. If someone comes up to me and asks me a question and is polite about it, I'll give them all the time of day to answer it. Right? So as far as people like seeing me and passing judgment, I don't see them. So it doesn't really bother me at all. I actually have a big problem with people who are heavily modified and treat, let's say, the general public like shit because they're being stared at, when it's like, look at you, you just look like you crawled out from under some kid's bed. Of course they're staring at you. I'm definitely finding, right? The thing a lot of people ask is like, especially when I got my horns, they're like, what are you doing? Are you going for some like aspect where you want to look like a demon or the devil, or it's all that kind of crazy stuff? And I'm not religious, so I don't believe in God or the devil either way. But it is an empowering thing. I have a lot of self-conscious problems, I guess you'd call it, when I have a lot of self-doubt with myself. Even though I look like this, a lot of people don't think that, but I've slowly been building that towards becoming a more confident person. I remember when I first got my horn implants done, I honestly felt like I could walk around with my head higher and my chest out, and I was more confident with who I am. It just took me one step closer to being a lot more comfortable with myself.